do you, or maybe a friend or a family member or a coworker, have you ever gotten in a place where you wondered, what does God think about me right now? If God put his attention towards me, maybe you're not even sure you're tuned in somehow to our devotional today and you're not even sure if there's a God, but if there was, what does he think of me? We are looking at the second of 4 texts in the Christmas story, 4 places in the Christmas story where God tells people to not be afraid. And it can be hard for us sometimes in our modern day to wrap our heads around what the ancient Near East was really like. The violence, the sickness, probably the dirtiness, the politics. There was so much that is different today from back then that honestly it would probably feel a lot like visiting an alien planet if you could go back in time. We had short lifespans and all sorts of things, and despite all these really incredible differences, God chose this time period to do an incredible thing. God chose this moment a couple thousand years ago to become human. Now, to send his son. Now, if it was me, if I was going to send my kids to someone's house, I'd want to go check the house out, see what everything was like, make sure they're okay. If I was going to send my kids to a school, right, I want to know, what's that school like? Do they have all the accommodations that my kids need and can thrive in? And I'm going to choose my school. I'm going to help them choose a school or a trip based on a place that they can best thrive, right? I'm going to try and choose the best of the best according to whatever offers them the most opportunity. Because as a parent, I feel like that's what I should provide. And yet God says, I'm going to send my son, a third of me. And I'm going to send him to this unmarried teenage girl. I mean, imagine Mary. This unmarried teenage girl who suddenly understands that she's pregnant. And she knows Joseph's not the father. Joseph was this man that she was betrothed to. And this is disastrous. It's going to bring about a whole lot of public shame on her whole family. Life is dark. Her dreams are shattered. How in the world could this happen? She must have so many questions going on in her head. This can't be. And at this moment, in the midst of confusion and challenge and worry and fear, an angel shows up. And the angel says this: But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. Let's focus, there's kind of 2 things going on in my mind when I hear this verse. And the first is, here's the messenger of God, and he knows Mary by name. God knows her by name. She's not a stranger. She's known. You too, you're known by God. God knows you by name. And then he says, don't be afraid, for you are favored by God. The word for favored here is the same word charis for grace. The same word that we translate also in other contexts as grace. She's found favor with God. She's found grace with God. Here, in the favor that she's found with God, God would use this to provide grace like to the whole world. At this moment when all seems lost, when it seems like her life has fallen apart, when it seems like she can't reach a new low, it's the bottom of the bottom. Life couldn't look any more bleak. God comes through and shows up to remind her, hey, you are known, you are loved, and I've got a plan. And it includes you. Here's the deal. Sometimes the holidays can be giant reminders of our loneliness. For some, it just seems like it's lights and family and warmth, and for others, it can feel cold and isolating. It can remind us that, well, there are people that aren't here with me to celebrate anymore. Can remind us in a year like this of all the things that we can't do at Christmas time. And yet, even though you might have those things going through your head, if for you this Christmas seems dark, if it seems lonely, if it seems isolated, I want you to remember the angel's words to Mary. He knows you by name. You are loved. You have found favor with God. God has given you his favor. He has given you his grace through his Son. God has a plan, and it involves you. I mean, that should be good news. We could even call it that. So don't be afraid. You who are highly favored. Let me pray for you. God, thank you so much that you do show us favor. That you love us, that you call us your sons and your daughters, that you've given us grace upon grace. And so, God, in this moment, I know there are people that are watching right now at this time, and this Christmas, it just feels lonely. It feels isolating. It feels cold. It feels dark. God, I ask that you provide your presence. God, may you speak into their lives, into their souls. May they feel your warmth. May they know that you are with them, that they are known, that they are loved, that they are favored, that you have a plan that includes them. And may they hear that message clearly today. I pray this in your name. Amen.